Hello. Today, as you can read by the title, I am going to be teaching you how to shade, or just do lighting in general. Before I start, I'd like to tell you that today I think I'm either gonna make it into two sections or one section. First, I'm gonna just draw a basic shape like a cube, and I'll show you how the light. So first, I'll show you the lighting, how the light comes onto the cube, for example, then how to shade where the light doesn't go, if that makes sense. So it will look realistic and it'll come out of the page. Not exactly come out of the page, but in the scene that you're depicting, it'll look somehow realistic. So yeah, and then after that, I'll just draw a human body, or I'll draw something, and I'll show you an example of shading something complex. So first up, we're just gonna get straight into it. We are gonna draw a cube, but let me try and find a ruler so it doesn't look like a fucking spastic drawer. I think that'll do. I don't have a ruler as such, but I think that'll have to do. So cube, for example, okay? So just, even if you want to follow along, you can, okay?
Few moments later.
Okay. So, always, this is what I do for every single drawing that I do. If you want to see my drawings, go to Plague Pivot, search up Plague Pivot on Instagram, and you'll find my drawings, just so you know. But anyway, the way I start off every drawing that I'm trying to shade, I always draw a light source first, okay? So I sketch in what I'm trying to do, but I always need to draw some type of light source. For example, the sun would be up here, right? So it'd be coming down. So, but for now, I might go with a lamp, for example, okay? Because it'll show you like focused lighting. So for example, with a lamp, it doesn't spread everywhere like the sun does. It only spreads that little bit, see? So, draw a light source, right? Then, what I like to do is draw lines to see where the light would hit and what it would hit the most, okay? Now, if we use logic here, okay? If the light's hitting this side, then most of the light would be hitting that way, and there'd be a lot of shading here. But still, I think I've made it a little bit complex, but that's okay. The light would be hitting here somehow, okay? So the light would be hitting wherever here, but it wouldn't hit back here because of the lamp, okay? So it'd be hitting places like that, you know what I mean? So these would be parts where it'd be very tinted, you know what I mean? Because that's where the light's hitting. But the places where the light doesn't come from here would be very, very dark because there is literally no light there, okay? So let's erase those lines and start sketching. Now, there are many ways to shade, but the way I like to shade is, I think it's called hatching, I think. Basically just lines, and sometimes if I'm really into it, I might do a cross hatching. So, for example, okay? So the light's coming from here, then we want to make it dark here, okay? Since the light's not hitting that area. And another thing that I'll have to show you when we're doing organic shapes is that you have to make the lines match. Like, for example, if you're making a bicep, for example, let's quickly just show that. Okay, if you're making an arm, okay, so a quick arm here, muscly arm, okay. If you're drawing an arm, okay, that's the bicep, right? Just let me draw the whole thing. It's really shit, but that's alright. Okay, that's an arm, for example, okay? If you want to shade it, the light's coming from here, right? You want to make the lines in a circular motion. This not only makes it, of course, shaded, but it shows the shape of it. Because without that there, if it's flat, then you'll feel like, oh, then it's a flat bicep. But biceps are round. So that is what I'm trying to get at. But we'll come to that when I get to organic shapes. Now, enough of me blubbering on. Let's continue, okay? So nice and easy. Nice and easy. Yeah. And another thing. I think this will come instinctively, but of course, whenever it's darker, of course you press harder, which is pretty obvious. And when it gets lighter, like it's like slowly hard, then going soft. You know what I mean? But with lines. But you can do it any way you like, okay? I just like to do it this way. You know what I mean? Now, since it's not an organic shape, it's very straight, I may as well just start going at like this. And another thing that I'm gonna teach soon is a thing that you can actually do. This is something I used to do, but I've realized that it didn't make it look as realistic, but it still does the job if you're new to it. Shade the whole thing. That's what I used to do. I used to shade the whole thing, make it a little bit lighter at the parts where, of course, it's going to be lighter. You know what I mean? I used to shade the whole thing. And then, what I'd do, which was a pain in the ass, I'd smudge it. I'd smudge it all over the page and erase the parts that left the cube. And this would make it, this would make the whole thing shaded. Like, I could smudge it, the entire thing from here. You know what I mean? For example. See? For example. This is a different way of doing it, but I might do each side in a different style. So, this is smudging, I like to say. Then the little bits that escape, just rub that out. Now with this, you must be thinking, but plate pivot. What about the light, right? This is where this thing comes in. Because, as you know, a rubber makes it white, right? If you shade the whole thing, and you want those little bits, for example, let's draw our thing again, okay? If the light's hitting here, okay, hitting the edges, what's going to be brighter? The edges. So, we'll draw tints. And depending on the material, it might be different, but see how now you can see that that part is lighter than the rest, but see how it's not exact, you know what I mean? This is why I don't do smudging much anymore, but still. And maybe even if you want, just erase the whole thing again, just so like you've got the texture down pat. Maybe that's what I usually did, but that would take a while, a long while. So like erase it slightly, very slightly. So now it kind of looks like, you know, what you're trying to get at. Then you just darken the lines. Yeah, from here, okay, that is one style, okay? And as you can see, the light's coming through and it's slowly getting darker as the light diminishes, right? Because this is obviously a lamp light. Just a little lamp here. So it's not going to be as strong as any other light, okay? Like the sun, for example. So, of course, it's going to be darker here, okay? Now we'll do the cross-hatching style here. So the light's, of course, going to be hitting these edges, right? So we want to go dark lines where you don't want it to be dark. But slowly, as you creep towards the light, you want to make the lines lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, right? And with this, you don't need to really worry about making a shape because it's a cube. So, you know what I mean? Make the lines slowly lighter and less condensed. See how it's slowly getting more and more, you know? And then the cross-hatching part of it, which is pretty obvious, cross. You just cross it. Now I'm doing a really shit job here, of course, but yeah, you can, if you really focus, you can do it well. But see, this will get you somewhere. This will get you where you want to go. See, now it's starting to come together. And then you slowly go lighter and lighter and lighter. And what I usually do with my drawings is I mix both of the styles. I might smudge it first, then do the cross-hatching over it, and it makes it look just beautiful. Not exactly realistic, but much better than just either one of them, you know what I mean? See here? Now, as I said, I think I might be shading the whole part, then rubbing it out, but that's okay. And of course the light's going to be hitting here, these edges as well. So basically you just want the part that's furthest away, as I keep repeating, the part that's furthest away from the light is the part that's going to be darker. Okay, and even if you're really unsure, you can test it yourself. Like look at this rubber for example, okay? The light is coming from, I can't point to it, but the light's coming from around here, right? So of course the rubber is, see how it's lighter here, darker here? That's basically what we're getting at with this cube, okay? The lighter part is lighter and the darker part is darker. You can test it out with any object you like and draw it. If you're really unsure. And if you can just do that with anything really. And it really helps you. Not only can you copy from something in real life, but you can also, how do I explain it? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You can, see it better and you can understand it better. Okay. Now, as we said before, the tinting is going to come from here. Since the light, of course, is going to come from here. And not much, though. Not much, because, as you can see, this half of the square, the cube, is blocking most of the light. So only a little bit of light can escape. Okay? And this is where the cross-hatching part comes in. Now, you can either do it like I did here, where you slowly get lighter as you rub out, or you can just do light lines, very light lines. And then you got something. I do not know what I did there, but I did something, right? Here it's pretty self-explanatory. Light, gonna be very, very, very dark. And of course, make the darkest part darker than all the rest. It's gonna be very, very dark. So I think from there, you don't really need to worry about making much lighting, unless it's the sun, you know what I mean? But from here, it's a weak lamp, let's say, and it just barely touches it. So this part is mostly in the shadows, like the Earth. When the sun's away from it, and the other side of the sun, the other side of the Earth is facing the other side of the sun. Sorry, there's no light coming to it. That's why we have night. So shading is very easy once you if you use examples from real life. It's very easy to put into your drawings. I think that does the job for cubes. Now I think we are going to try out. See, that looks alright. I mean, it's really kind of shit, but it does the job and it teaches you what I was aiming for. Now what we will be doing is organic shapes. Now I will admit I am not the best at this. So I will admit I'm not a professional at this. I'm teaching you what I know because I am still learning art. I'm not a pro. So I'm just trying to help you out if you need to know how to do shading. And if you've got this far, thank you. Just so you know. Now, organic shapes. Organic shapes are the same thing, really. The only other thing, as I was saying, with the bicep explanation, got a bicep there for not a man. Okay. If you want to do cross-hatching, the lines are gonna be around it, you know what I mean? And it goes darker and right. Or you can just, as I've done with most of the examples, just shade the whole thing, effort, and then just rub out the parts that are brighter, you know what I mean? But now with organic shapes, think about it like it's not just one cube. There's a lot of cubes, okay? For example, let's make a human face. We won't shade the human face because the human face is interesting to shade because you have to do very, very very little shading, but at the same time a lot. It's very hard to tell with the face. I even struggle with the face. Yeah, so do a face there, neck. If you want to learn how to proportion, I think I've done a video on the Plague Pivot channel, which you might be watching this from, or I might have made a new channel, I do not know yet. On Plague Pivot YouTube channel, on the Plague Pivot YouTube channel, I've done one on the male human proportion, I think. Yeah, I've done one. I don't know why I'm saying I think. Okay. There we go. Rough, very rough. Okay. Let's draw him some arms. Let's make him muscular. Okay. And also, as I've said with my proportions video, the shading will come naturally, because your brain will know that I have to darken these areas and I have to lighter these areas. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing here, you'll instinctively like go darker. When you're doing the very tiny parts, even if you don't instinctively do it, try and pick it up as a habit if you're trying to actually draw. Because as you can tell, this part, unless the light is right here, let's say the light's here, okay, this part doesn't get much sun because the shoulder, the bicep, and whatever that muscle is, the middle fucking tricep or something, is blocking it. So of course, it's going to, all you have to do is that. All you have to do is that, and look at that. See how it pops out everything else? Well, that's because it's literally, it shows that the shoulder and all those muscles are blocking what it is, and that can make you know what's overlapping the other very well. And the shoulder, of course, will be shading over all of these. Okay, see? Because it's covering all of them. And no shit. And then for the bicep, of course, the same thing. And just slowly up. See? And now it's starting to look alright. And this all comes pretty naturally, I think. Then we'll tint it out. Kind of useless, but that's alright. That's alright. Art's all about trial and error. I struggle with the human arm. I always think I know it, but the connection between the forearm and the bicep thing, ooh, it gets me. It really gets me. Because there's the elbow, which is supposed to connect both of them, so that's like separated. Then you've got another good thing, which I shouldn't be teaching because this is a shading thing. Draw the bones of the human body, and that will explain proportions so well. Like the forearm, for example, it's the two little bones, and then you've got the elbow, and then you put the muscle and skin over that, and it makes you understand, oh, well, that's how it works, and it was really easy, you know what I mean? See? And even if you go off a little bit with the bone, it makes it look realistic enough. So there's the elbow, there's my arms, and then the hands, which we won't do because, frankly, I think every single person they can either, every artist or just person can either do hands really well or can't do hands. That separates the human race. If you can do hands or you can't. But I think this has moved on from like a shading tutorial to fucking I should stop swearing. I'm sorry. This has turned from a shading tutorial to an anatomy tutorial. That's okay. It's always good to learn more than two things. So of course. And the more shading you put, the more you can tell that either the further away it is from the source of light, or the further away or the closer it is to surrounding things. Like, for example, here won't have light, the edges, because it's blocked by the entire arm. So the more shading, needed, the darker you put the pencil. By the way, this is 2B, just for those people who want to know. And it needs to be sharpened, but I think it's good blunt for what I'm doing. Just shading. Now see where some parts are highlighted, some parts are not. Well, as to the cube example, now this is the interesting part. If you want to make the head go back without showing a back and forth, you'll let the light pass his head. But if you want his head to be forward, blocking the arm, like for example, if you want his arms to be a little bit back, you don't just have to draw that. You can also show that by blocking the light from here, because the light won't be able to pass. It'll bounce off his head and it won't reach. So, therefore you make that darker. But for example, we'll make it like he's pretty symmetrical. Some bounce in his head, some pass, right? So of course this is going to be very, very bright because it's covering everything. But there'll be a little bit of shading in there, right? Then the rest, that's going to be a little bit bright because of that light. Then that's going to be a tiny bit bright, you know what I mean? So it slowly gets darker the further away or the more blocked it is. Yeah. Now, I think that gives you the idea. If you want me to do another video on more anatomy, more shading of the anatomy, or for example, more just anatomy, more shading, more whatever you need in art, I'll see if I can do it. The only thing that I admit I'm not the best at is coloring. But with coloring, the only advice I can give you, it's the exact same as this, just with colored pencils. If you want to make something like a mix of both colors, you'd make, or for example, if with this, right, the only advice I can give you for coloring, with this, right, we press harder to make it darker, and we do lighter to make it lighter, okay? With colored pencils, I don't have any colored pencils on me, but pretend this, okay, for example. Do I have anything else? Okay. Pretend this is a blue, pretend this is red, okay? Or pretend this is a dark blue, pretend this is a dark... Wait, this is the dark blue, this is a light blue, okay? You'd want, for example here, you'd want the dark blue in the dark places, and you'd want the blue in the light places. The light blue in the light places. That's just, I think, common sense, but I think that's all I can give you advice for coloring. But other than that, I think I've given you the idea here. If you want any more advice, please tell me in the comments. I hope this helped, and I thoroughly hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not one of those people who asks to smash the like button, because I frankly, I don't really care either way. I'm not here to become YouTube famous. I just thought I may as well post a video. So I hope you enjoyed. If you stayed tuned all the way here, thank you. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learnt something, because that's the main purpose of the thing. And I will talk to yous. Hold on, sorry. I will talk to yous later. I'm just making it very, very dark. If you really want it to be realistic, then you make it real dark. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. Enough rambling on. I don't need to extend this ending. I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.